Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're talking about today is how you could use your real estate license for your own personal use and how it can benefit you. A lot of people are getting their real estate license to take advantage of the upswing in the real estate market and take advantage of everything going on in the Tampa Bay area as well as the entire state of Florida right now. But there's these additional benefits you get for yourself. And if you've been thinking about getting a real estate license, but you've been kind of hesitant because you're wondering if you want to make the career change and if you want to become a real estate agent and you're wondering if that's for you, look, my recommendation is to take the course. You're going to learn a lot about real estate, and at the very least, you're going to be better prepared to handle your own transactions. And this is not even if you're an investor, even if you're just owning your own home or even just renting. I mean, you learn a lot more about real estate. Real estate has taught me so much about life, and I want to share some of that knowledge with you today, as well as go over some of the pros and cons of having a real estate license, even when you're not actually practicing real estate. So that's what we're talking about today. We've got a great show for you today. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to Ask the Instructor. I'm John Chrismo. This show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We started the show to help our students understand a little bit more of the technical side of the real estate industry. I mean, you learn so much in your real estate course, but there's so much in there. It's really just the tip of the iceberg for the information. That course really teaches you everything you need to know to pass your real estate exam, but at the same time, you learn about a lot of different facets of the real estate industry and even the financial side of things too. It's real when you really start studying and reviewing this material and seeing its real world implications. It's really interesting how much it actually does impact the real world. So let's talk about if, maybe you're looking to sell your house. We've had a lot of people that have came and taken classes with us that they're not really too interested in practicing real estate. Maybe they're interested in it a little bit, but more so they're just looking to save some commission money when they sell their house. So let's talk about a couple different routes it is that you could go with having a real estate license and selling your property. So like I said, in the course, you're going to learn a lot of different information about the real estate industry. You learn about how to appraise property values and, why you shouldn't just trust, say, Zillow for the information about what your house is worth. And so actually coming up with a subjective value of the property, you learn 3 different approaches to understanding the property value. So appraisal is a big part of that. And regardless of how you're selling your property, or even if you are selling your property, it's good to understand how that property is calculated, its worth is calculated. So appraisal is a big part of this. The mortgage financing aspects of this. Not only do you learn about the different types of loans available and kind of that process, a little bit of qualifying for a loan, but you also find out about kind of this whole process of generating money in the United States, which is a very interesting topic the more it is that you learn about it. One of the other big ones that you learn about is contracts. And this is such a substantial and crucial part to the real estate industry is contracts. And this is, if I were to say probably the most technical things it is that we do that's within our expertise that gets really technical, it's contracts. Negotiating contracts and really the negotiation aspect is huge. And understanding how you could properly negotiate a contract all begins with knowing the fundamentals and essentials of what makes an enforceable, valid contract in the state of Florida, how long those contracts are enforceable for, the different ways it is that you could terminate that contract or just terminating an offer in the negotiation process. So that's huge there. That's some of the stuff that's going to benefit you when you're selling your own property or buying your own property. Knowing what's possible with the contract so you know what the limits are basically for how you can negotiate that contract. So that's huge. And also there's so many different things that go on in the contract. So many people just get hung up on the price it is that they're buying the property for. That's one term that's very important. Probably one of the most important things of the contract is the price you decide on and agree on. But so many other things that apply into this. the earnest money deposit and kind of some of the repercussions that fall around that, especially for you as a seller, and how this really kind of helps solidify everything, but how that earnest money deposit isn't even actually something that's required, and the contract would still be enforceable otherwise. We'll talk about enforcing that contract. I'm going to try to pack in as much as we can today to give you a really quick hour-long cram about, selling your own property and some of the stuff that we talk about in the course. Some of the other stuff that is in the contract as well is, for repairs, example. So even if you're selling a property as is, even if your property is in an as-is contract, you could still have an inspection period in there. And if you've got an inspection period in your contract, you could come in and do an inspection. Look, even if you're inspecting this property yourself, that still gives you, if we look at this from the very basic theoretical legal sense of this, the ability to terminate the contract. And we're going to talk about, because this is why it's important to understand the contract, because when we're drafting additional clauses in the contract about inspections or understanding really the wording in that contract, that's huge for negotiating the deal. And even if you have an as-is contract, how you could end up renegotiating, retrading that deal for a lower price, which perfectly possible, perfectly legal, even with an as-is contract. So we'll talk about that. And then also the brokerage relationships as well, because we'll talk about how you could sell your property with a real estate license for sale by owner, or how you could take advantage of the MLS database and probably get your property sold for a lot faster and a lot higher price by using the MLS. So first and foremost, what I want to talk about is, let's break down the two different ways it is that we could sell a property. Now, we have a real estate license. Let's say that we have a real estate license, and let's go through our two different options and discuss the pros and cons of each of those. So the two options it is I want to break down are for sale by owner, which you don't need a license to sell a property for sale by owner, but that knowledge it is that you gain by obtaining your real estate license will definitely set you ahead. And we're going to talk about how to make sure that you don't get yourself in trouble for having a license and selling for sale by owner because you have superior knowledge, and that has to be disclosed. We'll talk about when and where. And then we also have the brokerage route. And for both of these, again, I want to list out the pros and the cons. Now, this brokerage route you could only do if you have a license. So with this one, you have to be licensed and have an active license with a broker, unless you're a broker yourself, in order to go this brokerage route. And this is where, and there's going to be some benefits that we talk about here. And if I were to break this down to, hey, what's the most important reason why I should go through a brokerage, even if you don't intend on getting a real estate license, maybe you're just looking at selling your house and you're contemplating maybe selling it for sale by owner or selling it through a brokerage. And look, if you guys are regular watchers of this show, you learn a lot about real estate, but as well as state of real estate. We talk a lot about marketing and listings and things like that. But let's say you're selling your house. Now, according to the National Association of Realtors, so National Association of Realtors is the largest trade organization in the world, and they have a lot of data. They have a lot of statistics. That's my favorite part about the National Association of Realtors, is all the statistics it is that they gather, because this data feeds us, especially in this profession. And according to the National Association of Realtors, listing your property through a brokerage using a realtor to sell your property will get you typically 10 to 20% more. So basically what that means is up to about 20% more in normal circumstances. So that's not even something that's out of the ordinary to get 20% more. And now look, if you're just a consumer looking to sell your property, if you just want to list your property with a realtor, they're probably going to charge you 5, 6, 7% commission. But hey, look, let's say if they're charging you 7% commission, even with a 10% higher sale price, you're still left netting an extra 3% there. So even if you're paying 7%, and chances are if you're paying for a more expensive realtor, they'll maybe be able to sell it for a little bit higher because they're probably marketing it a little bit more, and that's maybe why they cost more. That's not always true. That's why we do our due diligence when we're hiring a realtor. But even with just a 10% bump in the price compared to what it is that we could do on our own, that would make it worth it. So we'll chalk that up as a con on the for sale by owner side, 10 to 20% less. And one of the big factors that really, regardless of who your realtor is and what it is that they're doing, they're probably going to put your property in the MLS. And if you have a license and it's an active license, you could also put your property in the MLS. Now, with the MLS, there are fees associated with joining the MLS, but as we break this down, you're going to have to make sense of this on your own, of what these cost savings are actually going to come out to you for, and figure out whether or not that makes sense. I mean, usually for the MLS subscription, I think it's about $350 a year for the Mid-Florida MLS. Don't quote me on that because I usually just blindly pay it, but I know it's somewhere right around like $350 or so for the MLS subscription that you have to pay, in addition to realtor fees for that. So it can be where you do have some cost associated with it, but and if you've got a $100,000 house or a $50,000 house it is that you're looking to sell, the benefit it is that you're getting through listing through a brokerage, just that one property, probably isn't going to do it. Now, if you're selling multiple 50,000 houses a year, then yeah. If you're maybe some sort of house flipper or investor or something like that, then this starts to add up. But look, you've got to be able to do this math and find out, okay, is the extra revenue it is that I'm going to bring in going to pay for these fees it is that I have to have. And look, you've got to pay to get your license and maintain your license with the DBPR as well. So there are costs associated with it. But in most cases, the benefit is going to outweigh that cost because especially, again, 10 to 20% more. Now, for both of these sides here, whether we're selling for sale by owner or whether we're selling through a brokerage, you're typically going to pay a cooperating commission. So what a cooperating commission is, a cooperating commission is, so this goes back to the origins of the MLS. And when a lot of people think of the MLS, they think of basically a Zillow for realtors. And you could look at it that way. It's a much more accurate version of Zillow, we'll put it that for sure. But the reason why the MLS was created, and it actually dates back to the late 1800s, before computers, really when electricity was just starting to become a thing. And during this time, when when real estate started first picking up, it was having electricity inside of houses. And that was the new big thing, having electricity in houses. And having the electricity in the house was something new. And it's just almost like, you know how, I'm trying to think of something that is similar to that today, but I can't really put anything on that same level as having electricity in your home. So what brokers would do is they would hold open houses every single day in a house that would have, say, electricity in it, or whatever the features were that it was showing. But electricity was the big selling point. This was the big thing that wanted people to move out of their current house to a house that was already outfitted with light bulbs and electricity. So brokers would hold these houses open, and what would happen is they would basically just sit there in that house day after day after day after day until they eventually sold the property. And that's essentially what it is that you're doing with a for sale by owner. Now, we're going to talk about how the 21st century technologies that are available, such as Zillow, can definitely help expedite this process. But basically what was going on was that you were holding this house open every single day. And so what brokers eventually came to the agreement to do was they got together, hanging out, and they said, hey, if I brought you a buyer for one of your properties, would you split your commission with me? And at first, they would say, no, I don't want to split my commission. No, I want all the commission for me. I could find a buyer. But, somebody got to talking. Somebody convinced somebody to try this out. And they found out that they could sell properties a lot faster and for higher prices and potentially incite a bidding war. These are all benefits of this cooperative system that we now know today as the MLS. So it all started back in the late 1800s, where brokers first agreed to share commission with each other. Because let's say you're selling your property, and if you just hire a realtor, let's say you don't have a real estate license and you're just hiring a realtor to sell your property, they might tell you, and the commission it is that they charge you is a negotiated amount between you and them. There's no standardized amount. There's price fixing laws that prevent any sort of standardized amount. So they might tell you that they charge a 6% commission. And if they charge a 6% commission, that 6% typically will not go completely to them. And the way this breaks down, and let's see if we got a little space here to do this all. So the way this breaks down is, let's say you're paying out the 6% as the seller of the property. Now this 6%, again, doesn't go solely to them. Due to this cooperative arrangement, most of the time, I don't have the official statistic, but I think it's right around 95% of properties sell by a cooperating broker, which means it's a rare instance that you have one agent that lists your property, which is also the agent that sells the property. And we'll talk about that concept in a minute. But what typically happens is this gets split out between the buyer's brokerage and the seller's brokerage. And this is typically a 50-50 split. So that would mean 3% would be paid to the buyers and 3% would be paid to the seller's brokerage. So we have this cooperating commission structure here. And if you've ever sold a property for sale by owner before, you've probably been approached by brokers that are looking to list your property. And you might have told them, oh, well, no, I don't want to list it with you, but if you do bring me a buyer, I'm willing to pay you a commission. That's something that you see often with for sale by owners, but I have to pull up the exact statistic on this, but it's something like 75% of people that list a property for sale by owner eventually list with a broker, because it's not quite so easy to do it on your own, especially when you don't know real estate, and especially when you don't have this powerhouse that is the MLS. And you can even try to market the property on your own as a for sale by owner. I mean, a lot of flippers and investors will do that. But even then, you see those properties listed in the MLS because it's the most efficient, most effective way to get a property sold the quickest and at the highest price. So that MLS, I know I just list that out as MLS being a pro, but it's such a major pro for having a license yourself and having access to the MLS, or hiring somebody that has access to the MLS. They can put the property in the MLS for you. And it's still important that you utilize the MLS effectively, that you're not, just throwing it in there as a crappy listing. We'll talk about some do's and don'ts if you're looking to sell your own property and putting it in the MLS. But look, either way, you're typically going to end up paying a commission at least to the buyer side. And this is if you're selling it for sale by owner. Now, it might not be 3%. Maybe you're offering out only 2%. Maybe you're only offering out 2.5%. Maybe you're offering 3%. Something you should keep in mind is, and this isn't supposed to exist due to price fixing laws, because there's not supposed to be any conspiracy regarding commissions that are charged, and we're not supposed to favor properties based on commission. So that's illegal to favor properties based on commission. But let me ask you this. If, let's say that you, and some of you guys watching these, you might have a license, you might be thinking about getting a license. If you see a property that's paying a 3% commission versus a property that's paying a 1% commission, which one would you be more excited about? That's up to you. That's up to you and what your interpretation is of that, but I guarantee you your interpretation of that is probably very similar to everyone else. Now, the right thing to do, the ethical thing to do, is not look at the commission, and regardless of what we're getting paid, treat every property like it's the best property for our client. But, I mean, let's be honest out there. You've seen some of the people that... We'll leave it at that. But yeah, you make your own assessments about that. It is illegal. It's conspiracy to price fix, to basically steer people based on the commission it is that's offered. But even let's say that because if let's say you have a license and you're looking to buy a property, you could actually use this 3% the buyer's commission that's paid by the seller as a down payment for your property. So I know we've been talking about the selling side of this here, but I also want to talk about the buying side of this, because that has I would say even a more significant benefit than just being on the listing the property in the MLS as a seller. So I want to talk about some more of these pros and cons, but first we're going to take a quick commercial break, so stick with us. I'm John Crismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
You seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Chrismo. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to talk to you about the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're talking about today is using your real estate license for personal use. And we mentioned this before when we first went live, is that there's, already this huge benefit of having the real estate license and making a career or making a business out of it. But there's also this benefit to you personally here. And we've been talking about this commission structure here. And we could call this a con on either side, but by us willing to pay a commission, we entice people and incentivize people to bring us buyers. As a for sale by owner, if you get a call from a broker and they ask to list your property and you say no, and they ask, will you at least pay us a commission if we do bring you a buyer, and they say no, how likely are they going to be to bring you a buyer? They're not. So regardless of whether you're selling your property for sale by owner or you're doing it through a brokerage, you typically would want to pay a cooperating commission because you're incentivizing people to bring people to you. And again, despite that price fixing law here, if I were to ask you, what would you be more excited to show as a realtor? Would you be more excited to show a property that pays 5% or 3% or 1%? That determines how much it is that we get paid. So you could answer that question there. And that's a good tip for you as well. If you do have a real estate license and you're going on a listing appointment and the seller's asking you, why should I pay a 6% commission? Why don't we just do it for 5%, just cut your expenses? And we can't say. It would be considered price fixing for us to say, well, if we don't pay a 3% commission, no one will want to show the property. If we only pay this much of a commission, people won't be as incentivized to sell that property. You're not allowed to say that. That's a conspiracy to price fix. But what you can say, according to another National Association of Realtors quote, this is from one of their attorneys, is you could ask them the question, just like I did you. If you're getting paid, if you're a realtor and one property you're getting paid 5% and another property you're getting paid 1%, which one are you more excited to show? And you let them answer. You let them come up with a conspiracy. But yeah, we're not allowed to say something like that. So that's a good tip for you as well once you have your real estate license and you're trying to, because it's okay for you to charge whatever commission it is that you want. You want to charge a higher commission, look, that commission gets negotiated between you and your client. So if you want to go in, negotiate 7% and not budge from 7% and charge 7%, that's okay. There just can't be conspiracy amongst your peers to only charge a certain commission rate. That's what price fixing is. But enough about price fixing. I'm sure you don't really care about the laws and whatnot, but I've got to make my little disclaimer there every now and then about that stuff. So again, regardless, for sale by owner, brokerage, you're paying some sort of commission. So maybe you're only paying 2%, maybe you're only paying 1%. Whatever you're paying, it's up to you, but let's say you're paying 3%. For whatever reason, we think 3% is a good number, that we want to offer that to any brokers for reasons that are illegal to discuss. So we offer to pay this 3% commission out. So we'll list that as a con, because you don't want to have to pay money, but really it's also a pro. Listed on both sides really for this year. Paying a 3% commission is a pro and a con. It's money out of your pocket, but it gets more attention and more attractiveness to your property. And now a lot of for sale by owners you'll find, and maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're thinking about getting your real estate license because you're looking to save money. And we're going to talk about going through this brokerage process about how you can save money with this here. But even if you're a for sale by owner offering to pay a commission, if you're putting in your advertisement on Zillow that you'll cooperate with brokers, well, how much are you cooperating with brokers? Are you paying 1%? Are you paying 3%? You can put that in there. But in the MLS, and this is why, again, it's such a powerful database, and the initial reason why the MLS was created was for brokers to cooperate for each other. And you'll find, every realtor you talk to will tell you exactly where to find the commission payout in the MLS, because it's usually one of the first things they look at, because that's what they get excited about. So you could scroll right down to the bottom of the listing in the MLS, and pretty much all MLSs function this way. Right up at the bottom of the listing, it'll say, and this is realtor eyes only, that you only have access to the MLS, can you see how much is offered as a cooperating commission, you'll see what is offered to be paid out. And we'll talk about the brokerage side of this, but let's real quick look at the buyer side of this. Say you're looking to buy a property. If you're looking to buy a property and you have an active real estate license, that's what's crucial here, that you have an active real estate license. If you go into the MLS and you find a property that's willing to pay a 3% commission, you could use that commission it is that you earn as your down payment for the property. And guess what? You can get an FHA loan with a 3.5% down payment. There's conventional loans now that'll go down to a 3% down payment. You can do a VA loan with no money down. And now tack that 3% on it is that you're getting, and you're paying your loan up front, so you're lowering your mortgage payment. So it's a huge benefit. It's really almost a no-brainer if you're looking to buy property to have a real estate license, because you're able to take that commission and put it towards the property. And now you might say, well, John, can't I just negotiate that lower if I'm not using a realtor? No, what's going to happen is the listing agent's going to take you on as their client, and they're going to collect a 6% commission rather than just a 3% commission. So you lose that kind of negotiating power when the property's already listed, because the seller's already signed an agreement to pay that commission. And 6% is what they're paying regardless, or whatever it is that's specified in that agreement. If they're paying a 6% commission in there, regardless of who the buyer is with an exclusive right of sale listing agreement, they're paying a 6% commission to whoever buys the transaction. That's being paid out in there. That's already negotiated. So if a property's already out there with that offer up, you're not going to get a better deal, because it's just a listing agent that's going to get a double payday for that, for working with the seller and the buyer. So by having the license yourself, you're able to represent yourself in the transaction and collect that deposit and put it towards your down payment, or put it towards your closing costs. Even with a VA loan with no money down, you're going to have some closing cost for this property. So you could use that commission towards the down payment, towards the closing cost, or just pocket the money. You do that as well. If you already got the money for the down payment and the closing costs, just pocket that extra 3%. Whatever way it is that you want to structure that, you can. So like I said, it's almost a no-brainer if you're a buyer. Now let's get back on the seller side, because this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, weighing out what it is that you can do. And again, with a real estate license, you have either option to sell a property for sale by owner, or selling it through a real estate brokerage company. Now, again, you do have to be an active licensee. So there will be, the cons here is fees. And you'd pay a fee to get into the MLS, you'd pay a fee to join the Association of Realtors, and a fee to take the licensing course, a fee to get your real estate license, and let's say $1,500 is what we're looking at with something like that. Now, if you're selling one property, that might cut it close. But if you were to pay a regular realtor, maybe 6%. Let's say 6%. So if you were to pay 6%, let's say your property is worth $300,000. A 6% commission is what? $18,000. $18,000 it is that you're paying on a $300,000 property. Hey, look, maybe your property's worth a little bit less than that, but $18,000 versus $1,500. Now, this is the total commission. Now, if you're selling the property, let's say you're selling the property for sale by owner, and you're only paying out a 3% commission. But we got to keep in mind this 10 to 20%. And we'll go on the low side. Let's say that you would only get 10% more selling with a realtor. So 10% of $300,000 is $30,000. So what that means is, with a for sale by owner, you'd be looking at selling at $270,000. And that's on the low side, because this is 10 to 20%. So 20% of that would be $60,000. Now we're only selling our property for $230,000, and you can see how this quickly adds up. And this is important information for you as well with a real estate license if you're looking to pick up for sale by owner buyers. And this is a statistically sound and researched topic. It's been something that's been studied since for sale by owners existed, which has been quite some time. And this is a modern day statistic, even with Zillow, with Realtor.com, with Trulia, with all these websites, with Craigslist to market your property. In this market, that's not how people look for properties. They might look on Zillow a little bit, but most of the time the information they're finding on Zillow is inaccurate, out of date, incorrect, not the most up to date. And it really takes having a professional, and that's why this is such a large industry. We're the largest trade organization in the world as realtors. The National Association of Realtors is the largest trade organization in the world. So it's a powerful force having a realtor. $30,000 difference. And look, that's just the money it is that we're selling the property for. We've also got to pay now also a 3% commission. And on $270,000, pull out the old calculator here, get you an exact number on this. So $270,000. And not at 23%. You end up paying $8,100. So that's not only are you taking that $30,000 hit, and look, even though you would be paying a commission in this case, so even if you found the seller yourself, if you found the buyer yourself as the for sale by owner seller, $270,000. But let's say a broker gets involved in the mix, and look, when I deal with clients that are interested, they find a for sale by owner property, and I say, okay, for sale by owner, all right, yeah, let's see what they've got here, because they're either A, ridiculously overpriced, or B, they don't know what they're doing. And a lot of times it's B, even if it is overpriced, that they don't really know what it is that they're doing. And when they've got someone like me in there, they've got some realtor that knows the business, that knows their stuff, that's an expert at negotiation, they're going to beat you up as a for sale by owner on the price. And yeah, you could always say, no, I don't want to sell it, but what options do you have when you don't have multiple offers on the property? I know everybody thinks that their house is so great and it's so perfect and it's so fantastic, and then as soon as you put it online that the whole world is going to see it. Look, if you've ever posted something online before, I had the pleasure of using an app called OfferUp, and I was moving and I needed to sell some furniture, and so my brother told me, oh yeah, use this app, it's cool, it's way better than Craigslist, it's OfferUp, people are way more serious. And that's why I never liked really selling stuff on Craigslist, because you get all these people that aren't really too serious, and I'm like, okay, OfferUp, we'll try that out. I tried that out, and man, I'm like, I get it, I was selling my used furniture, but I'm not surprised people said, oh, I'll pay $5 for your couch, or $10 for your couch, or $50 for your couch. And this is a couch that was in good shape, but it just kind of shows you that perspective, that mindset it is that you have. You're going to sell something, especially when it's yours, it's something you love, such as your home. You put a premium on it in your mind, and you expect to put it out there, and especially if you overprice the property, that's blowing it right there. We've done State of Real Estate episodes before of pricing your property to sell, and basically listing that property at that lower price can really benefit you quite a bit. But we're talking 30 grand there on a $300,000 house. Maybe that $1,500 all of a sudden becomes worth it. And that we're talking fees to get your license, to apply for the license, to do your fingerprinting, to take your course, to join the Association of Realtors, to join a broker, $1,500. Maybe a little on the low side, even if it's $2,000. Look, if you're joining the most expensive broker in the world and paying a few $1,000s a month, join them for 1 month and then recoup that $30,000 benefit. And the more it is that you learn about real estate, the more it is that you find out how powerful it is that we are, and how much influence it is that we have over our buyers, and that professionalism is what's working against you selling a property as a for sale by owner. And the big thing here is the MLS. And look, there's even these things where you could put the property in the MLS. There's a lot of brokers out there where you could pay like $100 or $500 or whatever it is that they're charging. They call them flat fee brokers, and you pay them this flat dollar amount, and they load your property in the MLS. Well, look, a good realtor, look, you might look at me and think I might be a good realtor. I like to think so. And as a good realtor, I wouldn't take my own pictures of a listing. And look, I know a thing or two about a camera, but I'm not a professional photographer. I know that the camera in my iPhone here, in this iPhone 10 that shoots like 4K and does ridiculous things, the camera might be great, but the user behind the camera, And look, you might be a photographer yourself. And I know real estate photographers, and they'll tell me about when they first started doing real estate photography, and tell me about how many times it is that they messed up when they first started. And these are professionals that are real estate photographers. And so this is another added cost. But look, when you're hiring a realtor, these are one of the costs it is that a good realtor will take on. If you see a realtor that's taking the pictures themselves, you might want to get another realtor. That would be my recommendation. I mean, not to say that maybe they are professional maybe they do real estate photography as well. Who knows? But chances are, if they're pulling out their phone and taking pictures, and they tell you that there's the pictures that they're going to list it online with, that's where you want to pump the brakes, because you've got to understand the mindset of the buyer. You've got to understand the way the property is marketed. Those pictures are the window. You know how they say a picture's a window to a soul? It's a window to the soul of the property. And that's such a huge part. And there's so many different things. Using pictures, that's probably one of the more obvious things that get overlooked quite often. But that's just one of the major pieces of knowledge and benefits that a realtor brings to the table. And then it comes about marketing the property. The listing description that's used. If the way the property is worded, I mean, you've got to be able to weave a beautiful story about the property. And you do that in a very particular way, and you use very certain keywords for search engine optimization as well. And so that it flags certain things in the MLS for certain people. You've really got to know this system. And look, if you're looking to sell your property yourself, you want to get access to all this stuff so you could do your research. You could find in the MLS, and chances are if you're looking to sell your property, you're going to buy another property as well. So go in the MLS and start looking at the other properties that are available for sale. And there's a lot of realtors. Look, you might think that this is some unique idea it is that you have to get your real estate license so you could save money on the commission. You could use your commission as the down payment. It's not a unique idea. We have in every single one of our classes that we run, I would say at least one person who that's their reason, at least one person who that's their primary reason they want to get a real estate license, is they're getting this license just because they've got a house to sell, they want to buy their house, maybe they're looking at doing a little bit of investment real estate, whatever the case may be, but they're looking at more so for personal use. So you're not alone if you're looking to use your real estate license for personal use. And the reason why is because you've ever heard the saying before of, if it was so easy, everyone would do it, or if you could make money with it, everyone would do it. There's a lot of people that are. It's just most people don't know that these benefits exist. And so, again, obviously, you could tell I'm a little bit biased on this, but I don't even think it's biased at all. I think I'm accurate. I think I'm correct in all this stuff here. Looking at these numbers, going off of, even on the low side, 10%. I mean, we want to talk about the high side of this. If you're really blowing it on the sale, on a $300,000 house, 20% of the sale price is $60,000. Can you afford to make a $60,000 mistake? Maybe if you're a millionaire. Maybe if your house is $2 million, but if your house is $300,000, that's a huge hit. I mean, we're talking about the difference of being able to walk away with equity from your property versus maybe even being able to not pay off the mortgage when you sell the property. So, huge benefits from having a real estate license, but I want to walk through more so this process here of what it looks like so you're prepared with this and you can make your own assessments of this to determine whether this is worth it. Because if we're talking about a $100,000 house at a 6% commission, that's only $6,000. It's not that big of a differential then. Even then it's still $20,000 at that point, so that's still a pretty big differential, and that will usually make these fees it is that you're paying worth it. And look, even if because these fees will vary based on who your realtor board is in the area and how much it is that they charge, what they charge for the MLS, the broker it is that you join. I mean, there's a lot of brokers out there that are flat fee brokers where you can keep all the money yourself and you just pay a nominal fee to them. That might not be the best choice if you're looking to start a real estate career, but if you're just looking to save money on the sale of your house, that's maybe something it is that you want to look at. And these you can maybe find some that you don't pay any sort of fee and you maybe just pay some transaction fee on it. So I want to run through these different numbers as well so you get a little bit fuller idea of what it looks like for money it is out of your pocket. There's going to be some expense somewhere that you're going out of your pocket. Even selling for sale by owner or not paying a commission, you still got closing costs. You still, if you're trying to get the property in the MLS, would still pay for that access to the MLS. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about using your real estate license for personal use.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, We're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. Oh, you're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Chrismo. This show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to discuss the technical side of the real estate industry. And today is no different. And what we're talking about today, which surprisingly enough, I think this is the first time we've talked about this on any of our live streams here, which we got a question that came in the other day about this, and it was a no-brainer that, wow, we haven't talked about this yet. So, looking to sell the property on your own. And the reason why this was a no-brainer when I saw this question, I was like, wait a minute, we've got so many people that come in and are looking to get a real estate license for their own personal use. I get lost in the idea of, oh, you're starting a career, you're changing your life, you're building a business. But look, sometimes people just want to save some money when they're selling their own property. And if that's all you get out of this, even if you don't even get your license, I would highly stress that you get your license so you unlock the potential and capability of this, even if you're just looking to sell your home. So get your license then. But I mean, we've even had people that just attend the classes just to learn about real estate, and no intention of even getting a real estate license. They just want to learn about this whole licensing process, the information that you need to know, and so on. I actually had somebody in my weekend review class just this past weekend that not interested in getting a license whatsoever, but they wanted to learn about real estate, and they were actually I think an economics professor or something like that, some sort of professor, but I think it was about economics, and they were there in the class because they wanted to learn more about real estate. So, but look, I would urge you, if you're taking the time to go through this course, take the time to go take that exam and get your real estate license, because that's what unlocks this potential. If you don't have the license, this is your only option up here. In order to tap into this brokerage capacity here, that's where you need to have a real estate license in order to tap into this, in order to have that unbridled access to the MLS. And so we talked a lot about the seller side of this here, and we talked about, I mean, this big thing, I want to put this in red here because this is huge. This is so important. 10 to 20%. And this depends on the market. This depends on who it is that you're using as an agent. But that's the range. They didn't say 5 or 1% to 20%. They said 10 to 20%. So on the low end, 20% is normal for listing your property with a broker and getting at least 10% more. And that usually is, I mean, I don't know anyone personally, even myself included, that would go and charge a client 10% commission. It's unheard of. Or I've heard tales, but I've never met anyone personally charging that much. But even charging 10% commission, it's a wash at that point. And hopefully, if they're charging that much money, they're going to be the ones that push it more to 20%. Now, we're not magic, being a realtor. We can't wave our magic wands and all of a sudden make a property higher than what you sell it for. And that's what I want to talk about as well. So one of the things that's a huge benefit, and again, you learn this going through the course, in the appraisal section. So appraisal is a big component for your real estate exam. It's one of the 8% chapters, so it's a large portion of your real estate exam, knowing about appraisal. But this is such a fundamental real-world topic, having a real estate license as well. Appraisal is so important because it really helps you understand what the true market value of your property actually is. And a lot of times, probably 99% of the time, buyers have an overinflated idea of what the market, or sellers have an overinflated idea of what their market value of their property is. So knowing this market value is crucial and key up front, because you might think that your property is worth $300,000, and maybe that is the actual market value. As a realtor, we might be able to get you that market value of $300,000, maybe even a little bit more. But on your own, that's where you might start dropping below the market value. And this is the battle is. So let's say if you have a real estate license and you're trying to win over some for sale by owner clients. If you go in there and just kind of start telling them right away, oh, your property won't sell for $300,000, and then they're going to say, well, I definitely can't afford you then if I can't sell it for $300,000. It's not that the property is necessarily worth less, but they just have an overinflated idea of what it is that they think it's worth, because they don't have that skill in knowing the true market value of the property. So, and just having that access to the MLS, I'll sometimes just be surfing through the MLS, just kind of checking out properties in an area, not having a client for those, not interested in purchasing them myself, but just kind of interested in what's going on in a particular area, what houses are selling for, what other agents are doing to market properties, and just kind of digging in there and kind of doing a little bit of research like that. And the reason why I do that is to expand my knowledge that I have about just real estate in general. So understanding that true market value of the property, it's essential as a seller, because if you list a property above market value, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because when you list it higher than it should sell for, people see that and say, I don't even want to waste my time dealing with the seller that thinks they want to sell, that they're going to sell their property for $300,000 when it's maybe really worth $270,000 or $330,000. And this is something that's ingrained, I guess, from the cop-out for negotiation. The cop-out for negotiation is, just charge a higher price, then we'll negotiate lower. That's the way used car dealers probably still to this day, but definitely used to operate. Before there was this information available, before there was Kelley Blue Book and TrueCar and all this other stuff, they would just mark up the prices of the car, and then you'd go in there, you'd haggle with them, you negotiate them down, then all of a sudden now you've got the value it is the true market value of that particular vehicle is. And with real estate, we really don't have that to this extent. Cars, they're the same all over the world. A Ford Mustang, for instance, is the same car all over the world. A 2010 Ford Mustang, same car all over the world. But a 4-bedroom home in Tampa that's on Main Street with 3 bedrooms is different than the 4-bedroom home that's on not Main Street, a couple blocks away. So this localized market makes it where this is why Zillow's estimate hasn't been able to crack the code. Why even the system that we have in our Realtor Toolbox, you get access to a lot of powerful tools by paying these fees to the Association of Realtors, a legal hotline with the Florida Association of Realtors, the MLS, a system that aggregates all your property tax records. It's so powerful when you really utilize all the features that are in there. And one of the systems in there, it's called Realist, and there's actually a couple different systems they have for valuing property. Even the MLS could help you prepare a comparable sales report of a particular neighborhood and estimate the value based on the information is that you put in. But even the realtor's version of a Zestimate, basically, of a Zillow's estimate, that's flawed. Because it's just going off of public records information and these other sales in the area. And the one that we have access to as realtors, it's definitely better than Zillow's, but it's not perfect. And that's where our knowledge comes in of appraising property. And it's not even where we're doing a formal appraisal, but where we're just kind of looking at the trends in the market, where somebody like me is going through and doing the research, but in your neighborhood, and they know your neighborhood like the back of their hand. They might know your neighborhood better than you know your neighborhood. That's a good realtor right there. When they know that every house that's sold in the neighborhood and what price it is that they sold at, and based on this house selling for this, but it had this, versus this house selling for this and having this, what your house would probably sell for. So having understanding of that market and the pricing strategy, such a crucial, essential skill to maximize the value that you sell this for. And look, even if let's cut this number down even more. If you're on the fence about this, where $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, whatever that may be, if you're thinking, oh well, I don't want to pay that money for just a chance of getting more. Let's 10%. That's $30,000. 5%, half of that, $15,000. Even if they're only getting 5%. Even if it's only an extra 5% bump, that's $15,000. Now, at a full 6% commission, that wouldn't cover that. But if you have the real estate license and you're not paying yourself a commission in the deal, because that wouldn't really make sense to pay yourself a commission when it's your property that you're selling and you want to walk away with as much money as possible. But let's say you paid a 3% commission here. That 3% on the $300,000 is $9,000. So if you're getting $15,000 more for your property, now it's only a net of about $6,000 if you're only getting 5% more by utilizing the MLS, utilizing the knowledge it is that you're gaining by obtaining your real estate license. And look, one of the things that is also want to point out before we take another quick break here is if you have a real estate license and you're selling your property, whether it's for sale by owner or you're selling it through a brokerage, is that you should disclose that you have a real estate license. And the reason why you should disclose that you have a real estate license, and that's what the law says, that you should disclose that. I say you need to disclose that. The reason why is because if you don't disclose that you have a real estate license, you open yourself up for professional liability. Now, just disclosing, and what you do is you put in the contract next to your name, licensed sales associate, licensed broker, whatever it is that you have as a license, you put that in parentheses next to your name. In the contract, you now have prima facie evidence that you disclose that you have a real estate license. And the reason why you need to do that is because holding a real estate license says that you have superior knowledge to the consumer. And you have such superior knowledge that you need to disclose that, otherwise you could open yourself up for liability. So that's the level of knowledge it is that you're deemed to have by having a real estate license. You learn a lot of information. There's a lot of information it is that they test you on in both the end of course exam as well as the state exam. There's a lot of information it is that you need to know just to get that minimal competence that sets you above everyone else that doesn't have a real estate license. So it's absolutely something. And look, if it cost you 4 years of going to school and $100,000 to get a real estate license, we'd be talking a different story here. If it took that much input on your part, basically going to college or something like that, I've seen people with 4-year real estate degrees, and every time I see that, which doesn't happen very often, I ask them, well, why? Why did you get a degree in real estate? I try to not sound like a lack of a better term when saying that. But I'm really curious as to why. And a lot of times it's just like, well, I was going to college and I figured I liked real estate, so I went and got a real estate license. So it's just not having the knowledge that, you could learn this stuff in 2 weeks or a couple months going through this stuff. And you learn most of the stuff it is that you'll learn across 4 years going to school and paying $100,000 for that education. So it's if that's what it costs to obtain a real estate license, completely different story here. It's not worth it if you got to pay, even if, let's say you're paying, in-state tuition and it's costing you $20,000. Maybe after selling a couple of houses, that's worth it. But on this one deal, it's nowhere near the cost it is that, and look, you're still paying realtor fees, you're still paying MLS fees, even though you have a degree in real estate. So going through this, it's such a low, and if you've been thinking about getting the real estate license to practice real estate, but you're not sure about whether or not it is that you like it, there's such a minimal threshold to get a real estate license. Yeah, you do need to have a significant amount of knowledge that you'll learn in the pre-licensing course. Guarantee you're going to learn everything it is that you need to know in that pre-licensing course to pass your exams. You're not going to learn everything about real estate, but you're going to learn everything it is that you need to know. We follow the FREC syllabus of what could be on your exam, and we update based on that FREC syllabus every year. And really, we're at the least every year. We're usually updating this within a month or two of any law changes or anything like that to make sure you have the most accurate, up-to-date information. Usually within a day or two of that information actually coming out, we're really updating our stuff because we wanted to make sure it's the most accurate and up-to-date information it is that you're receiving. But that is really if you're looking for this for personal use. Now, I want to also talk about this if you're, let's say, an investor, and how we can really multiply this and how much money it is that you could save maybe over the course of a year by having a real estate license. Now, I would still say that there's going to be a bump between that 10 and 20% in that you're getting by going this brokerage route with it. But we'll break that down with those numbers. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break. So stick with us. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106 or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. Really for just a final segment is here, I want to talk about, we've been talking about these benefits here, and I mean, this is really the number one reason why you want to have a real estate license if you're buying or selling your home. And really, if you're buying, I'd probably maybe say more so along that you're collecting that commission it is that's 2%, 3%, 4%, whatever the commission that's offered on that property. You use that towards your down payment, towards your closing costs or anything like that. Which on that $300,000 house, let's say if you're collecting a 3% commission, if you're buying that $300,000 house, that commission now gives you, if you're with a 100% broker, a $9,000 credit towards that property. That might cover your entire down payment there, depending on the type of loan it is that you have, or if not the entire down payment, a large portion of that down payment. So, or your closing cost, or whatever it is you're looking at. It's free money that you wouldn't get otherwise with a property listed in the MLS. So that's definitely a huge benefit there. But let's talk about the investment side. And look, I've already kind of went on about the knowledge that you're obtaining, getting your real estate license. So, I mean, if anything, that's a big benefit right there. And look, even if you're an investor and you're just looking to hire real estate agents still, because maybe you just don't have time to do it yourself, I would still say to go through and learn this information, to know what your realtor knows, because you don't want, as a real estate investor, you want to be the most knowledgeable that you could be. Whenever there's an opportunity to learn something, you want to learn that information so you can make yourself more money, when you could close more deals, and so on and so forth. So, and look, again, if this were a bigger burden, if this were more you had to do, if we were talking about going to school for 4 years, spending thousands of dollars, $100,000, whatever it may cost to go to school based on the school it is that you're going to, then we'd be having a different discussion here. Might still pay for it. But, I mean, with the cost of a few $1,000s to get your real estate license, to join the Association of Realtors, to get access to the MLS, to register yourself with a broker, probably could get done for under $2,000. Especially if you're just looking to use it for personal use, you could find a broker that doesn't charge you any sort of monthly or annual fee for holding your license there, and maybe just charge you some transaction fee or something for that. But let's say you're a investor. And let's say that your plan is to, let's say you're flipping properties, to flip one property a month. So basically 12 flips it is that you're trying to do across a year. So 12 flips it is that you're trying to do. And let's just go through one of these properties. Let's say that you're you're going in and we'll just pick $100,000. You can plug in whatever numbers it is that you need to do once you've seen how we do this math here to make sense in your business. But let's say that you've got $100,000 properties. Now, chances are, now if you're flipping properties like this, you usually want to put a property in the MLS. Anytime you're dealing with residential properties, it's pretty essential to have the property listed in the MLS in order to capitalize the highest price it is that you can get on it. And let's say that you're buying this property in at, let's say $50,000. So $100,000 is what you plan on selling for. Your initial cost is $50,000. And let's say that you're also let's say we'll put in 30 grand in rehab. So we've got basically $80,000 in cost here, so that leaves us with 20 grand that we're walking away with on this property. But that's basically saying that we sell the property ourselves, that we're listing and selling this property ourselves. Now, if we're using a realtor, let's go with the 10% number. We'll go on the low end because as an investor, as a flipper, you should be pretty knowledgeable about the property, but the marketing capability that a realtor has usually is what pushes this up a lot further, and also the access to the MLS. And that's kind of just one thing right there, very simple to have. Every realtor has it, access to the MLS, and now all of a sudden that just changes the game for selling your property. But let's go with that 10% number. If you're getting a 10% higher sale price on this property, that's 10 grand right there. So let's say 10% plus on sale. That's another 10 grand because now we're selling it for 110,000 instead of 100,000 if we're getting that extra 10%. So an extra $10,000 there. Now, if we're hiring the realtor, maybe we're hiring them at 6%, maybe it's at 5%, at 6%, now it's only an extra $4,000. But let's say that we're the realtor, we have the real estate license, and we're selling the property. Then we're only paying 3%. Now it's going to be 3% based on that $110,000. And that would end up being $3,300. So let's say we're paying a cooperating commission of $3,300. So again, there's going to be costs there. But now, and before we even add this up, let's say that buying this property, if you found this property listed in the MLS and this property was offering a 3% commission, that's $1,500 it is that you're capitalizing off of this cost if you're using that commission as towards the down payment. So rather than hiring a realtor, you're being the realtor yourself, and you're capitalizing that extra $1,500. So we bring that back in. So let's go ahead and check our math here. So let's go ahead and figure out what it is extra it is that we're getting. So we've got 1,500 minus 3,300 plus 10,000. So having the license yourself, we're ending up netting us an additional $8,200. And that additional $8,200, I mean, that's a significant amount of money there. But if we multiply that out across 12 deals, that's almost an extra $100,000 a year if you're able to do the same thing on 12 different deals. So it might not sound like a whole lot on this one transaction. And I mean, yeah, you're taking on additional work to do this. You're additional sweat equity of yourself to be the one that's marketing the property for sale and then being your own buyer's agent with this here. But that recoups you an extra $8,200 on this one transaction, which across, again, 12 transactions, $98,400. So that should show you the potential there, because this could make the difference between you making money on a flip and you not making money on a flip when you have an extra $100,000 at the end of the year. Flipping can be dangerous because you're at the beck and whim of the market. The market goes up, you make money. Market goes down, not so much. You're losing money and you're stuck with a property it is that you can't sell. You could still invest for the long term with rental property, but that's a small trickle over a long time, which definitely adds up. When you're flipping, it's a great way to instantly have huge profits that you could fold into bigger properties and then have enough money to buy multiple rental properties. So you've got a long-term strategy with this. But that's an extra $98,400 on top of whatever profits it is that you've been making. And then this is just assuming against 12 flips. So even as an investor, I mean, look, even if you don't have the real estate license yourself, maybe you're too busy for it, have somebody on your team that's a licensed realtor that could handle this stuff for you, that's got the knowledge. I mean, it's still going to increase your cost when you're not doing it quite yourself. And let's say if half of this extra money ends up going to them, that's still like an extra $50,000 a year that we're pulling in. And if we've got a large team like this, we're probably just not doing 12 flips. We could probably double that up to 24 flips. Then we're back to an extra $100,000 a year, and we're both getting $100,000, both us and that agent it is that we hired as our investor. So and this is why there's agents that work specifically with investors. I mean, so many people that think of investors, they say, oh, well, why would they want a realtor? They already know real estate themselves. Because they do know the real estate, but they might just not have time for the amount of volume it is that they want to do everything themselves. And that's where they leverage other people to bring other people in, cut them in on the profits, but now they're able to do more. And if they could double their efforts by cutting you in with half, then we both end up with the same amount you would have had just doing it yourself to begin with. And then you bring in somebody else and do it again and keep building yourself basically this behemoth machine. And now this isn't sustainable with the flipping for the most part. There's a lot of flippers out there, but I mean, a lot of this goes on the market. And as the market rises like it does now, you've got to be more careful with this. And that's why having this knowledge of having a real estate license, understanding truly how to value property, and knowing how we're marketing this property at the retail level. If you're looking to buy a property here and sell it here, you're buying it wholesale and you're looking to retail it. In order to sell it for what a home would normally sell for and recoup the most amount of profit for this property, and look, that's an even higher amount, because we only base this, we were conservative with this and base this on 10% more it is that you're getting, where National Association of Realtors says it's anywhere from 10 to 20%. And understanding that mindset of how we as realtors work by being one yourself really allows you to market that property to its best potential. So whether you're just looking to buy a property for yourself to live in for you and your family, or maybe you're looking to buy some investment properties, maybe you're not looking to do 12 flips a year. Maybe you just want to do one flip. Before you go out there and just throw money into a property, because like I said, flipping can be very dangerous. It's especially if you're using short-term debt, especially if the market is volatile, if it's rising or falling, you don't know when to time it exactly right. Even if the market's perfect for this, if you don't have the appropriate knowledge, you still are getting yourself into a risky situation. But what you could do, if you're looking to get into flipping, you could go get your real estate license, practice real estate, maybe deal with a couple retail clients, and then start getting some money coming in and looking at real estate, researching real estate, talking to investors. There's so many people that are in real estate that have a real estate license that are real estate investors themselves because they know the real estate inside and out. So it's a no-brainer really for whether you're looking to buy or sell the property just for your one single property, or whether you're a flipper, or maybe you're looking to be a rental landlord and you just want to be able to access the MLS. You don't want to have other people be responsible for finding you the deals, and you want to make sure that you don't miss anything that somebody else might overlook. Even if it's just for the knowledge it is that you're obtaining, it makes so much sense. And like I said, for the cost of this knowledge, the cost in money and the cost in time. I mean, look, if you want to enroll in our online course currently, it's $249. $250, you learn so much information about real estate. Now, you're not going to learn everything. Disclaimer there. Never promise to teach you everything in there, and you'll probably never learn everything about real estate. I don't know everything about real estate because there's so much to know, but it's going to get you started in the right direction. You're going to learn the laws. You're going to learn what it is that you can do legally, and that's what you learn in the first few chapters. The FREC mandates that we teach the laws first and foremost in the course, because they want to make sure, I guess, they weed out the people that are looking to be deceptive in all this stuff. But then as you progress through the course more, you learn about different types of deeds. You learn about contracts. You learn about appraising property values. You learn about financing for deals. You learn about how the closing computations are calculated. And if you want to be an expert, whether that's as an investor, as for selling your own property, then you've got to have the necessary information. So that's about using your real estate license for personal use. If you've got questions on any of this stuff, feel free to give us a call. We've got advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that they can. We've got a large staff of instructors. If you're enrolled in the course with us, you get instructor support included for the duration of your course. So if you're enrolled online, I mean, you've got a year to access this course, a year to call us up and ask us your questions, or email your questions in if you prefer, because we're here to help you. We want you to be successful in real estate, and we're going to do everything we can to help you be successful. So give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106. Thank you guys for tuning in today. If you've got some value, if you learned something in the show today, make sure you hit the like button below. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of these future sessions. If you liked what you learned about today, you'll like what we do every Wednesday, as well as what we do on Fridays, because we're always talking about real estate, about making money, about making more money, about listing more properties, about stuff you need to know to pass your real estate exam. So much information. You can find all the previous episodes of Ask the Instructor, as well as State of Real Estate, as well as all kinds of articles and calculators and tools, all at tampaschool.com/success. Again, that's tampaschool.com/success. That's our Success Center. So much available for you on there, so check that out. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys Friday for State of Real Estate.
You seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
Ask the Instructor. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.